Hello, good afternoon. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now. I'm Vinny Motiwala. With me is Shrishti Sharma as well. Shrishti, a very good afternoon to you. And markets have fallen from the day's highest point, went into the red. Not a recovery is what we could say, but yes, it's trying to make a slight bit of an up move, but nothing exciting there. 24,255 levels is what the Nifty is holding on to. Let's move on and look at the broader markets because that also is under pressure. So Nifty mid-cap down almost 0.1% right now, almost inching near to that green. So let's watch out whether, we do see that mid-cap coming back in the second half of the trading session. Keeping an eye on that. Small cap too also trading with cuts of almost 0.3% as of now. Nifty Bank, that saw a sharp fall at one point of time, was down 1% from the day's highest point. So let's pull that up and see where that is headed right now. Trading near those levels, so down considerably, 1% from the day's highest point. Moving on, we have only Pharma and IT, and FMCG, so the defensive side, that's managing to hold on to gains as of now. Nifty Pharma holding on to gains of 0.3%, Nifty IT 0.2%, FMCG holding on to a gain of almost 1%. Now, a lot of movers today in trade are only on the back of either news flows coming in or in terms of earnings. We'll take you through all of that in the next 1 hour. But yes, to talk about all of that, we do have Osho Krishan joining in with us from Angel One on the technicals, while from the research team, we do have Snehi also joining in with us. A very good afternoon to both of you all as well.
Well, certainly, let's get started then with the first stock in focus, and let's shift focus to the stock which is having its first day on the bourses, and that is First Cry. Indeed, the stock is happy today, and so the investors, because it's been a stellar listing for this particular company. We have seen great response coming in for this particular IPO, and look at the move. The stock is still holding a gains of 47%. Speaking at the listing event of the Brainbee Solutions, Mr. Anand Mahendra said that the investment that they have made was an experiment to figure out how the big business groups incubate and build new businesses. Also listen in to what Super Maheshwari, who is the MD and CEO of Brainbee Solutions, had to say.
The experiment was about trying to understand or to figure out how do large business groups incubate and build new businesses? How do you create a sense of entrepreneurship inside a large group? So to answer that question, in 2010, ironically when you were born, Supam, First Cry, and we created Mahindra Partners. And that was our attempt at trying to create this experiment in entrepreneurship. And the mandate for Mahindra Partners really was that they should be investing in, incubating companies, particularly in the new age fields. And they would have to do that while competing with a variety of startups. And their mandate, as I said, was to isolate this kind of mentality of startups. And to our minds, the really differentiating mentality of startups is that they worship at the temple of value creation.
Largely, we believe that we'll continue to grow organically from here on unless we get some exciting opportunities from an organic growth standpoint. For last 2 years, we haven't acquired any company for last 24 months, but we continue to evaluate new opportunities. So largely, it will be a function of organic growth as we go along. So we have today around close to 9.1 million annual unique transacting customers. It has over a period of last 3 years, CAGR has been around close to 14%. So that's how we have been continuously growing. We have built 1,000+ stores. A lot of our customers, young parents, young mothers actually buy both offline and online. They join our journey offline. They also transact online. And when they join our journey online, they transact offline. It's the trust that matters. Once they have the trust with the platform, they transact on both platforms for us. So we continue to double down on both.
Okay, let's move on. And Osho, good afternoon. The first stock that you've picked out for us today is Axis Bank. Last 1 month seems like a slight bit of a correction, at least is what we're watching out for. But going forward from here on at 1,163, what is the word on Axis Bank?
Very good afternoon to both of you and all the viewers. Well, as you have mentioned that in the last 1 month, there has been a bit of correction in Axis Bank, but looking at the overall scenario, because it is in a secular upward movement with a cycle of higher highs, higher lows. So now it is placed approximately around the previous highs, and which is also coinciding with the 200-day SMA. So approximately the zone of 1120, 1100 odd levels. This is a very strong support that one can see in this counter. And looking at the historical price development, I am expecting that from here onwards, one can see a gradual up move in Axis Bank. On short-term perspective, 1220 will be the immediate target, while from a positional perspective, short to medium-term time frame, one can definitely see a retesting of 1320, 1350 in the coming period.
Surely keeping an eye out on that. Let's move on, talk about an FMCG name that's buzzing in trade today. We have Marico that's in focus. The stock at one point of time was up as much as 3% in trade, and this came in after the company said that its Bangladesh operations that had been shut down, now they have resumed. The operations are back. And what we're keeping an eye out on, let's not forget Marico for Bangladesh, the revenue that comes in from for Marico from Bangladesh is around 11%. So yes, surely that maybe, the last few weeks that it was shut and not in operation, maybe could see an impact, but recovery and restarting in terms of resuming the operations to normal scale is interesting in Bangladesh. So Marico is up almost 3% in trade, and moving on moving upwards with the other defensive side, as FMCG names today also are holding on to gains. Marico up almost 2.5%.
All right, then that's about Marico. But moving on, let's shift focus to Nazara Tech and Osho. That's the counter that you are tracking. Tell us more on this front.
See, for Nazara Tech, this counter is in a very positive trend from the past 2 trading months, specifically from the zone of the time it has given a strong surge above the zone of 700. So I'm expecting that from now onwards, the counter is into a very strong secular up move. But there is a very crucial zone that one need to have a very strong watch on. So approximately the zone of 980 to 1000 is a very strong resistance. The time we witness a breakout above the zone of 980 or 1000 odd levels on a closing basis, then from here onwards we can expect very strong rally in this counter for approximately 300 to 400 odd points. So 1300 to 1400 should be the target that one can expect from medium term time frame, but that should be taken only once the counter moves above the zone of 980 on a closing basis.
Okay, let's move on to the next stock, and that is Aarti Industries. This one clearly under pressure today. We've seen a sharp fall. I think it's in lower circuit also, but a lot of concerns that were highlighted in the con call, right?
Well, absolutely. So the street is spooked by what the management had to say in their con call, and on the back of that, more than 15% intraday cut coming in for Aarti Industries. Let's understand what the management has said that the street has taken to so negatively. Now, they've said that the company is confident of achieving that 20 to 30% volume growth, but the catch is they've said that the company is hesitant to commit to EBITDA guidance due to the margin pressures and energy volatility. So on the back of this hesitation that the company is showing, and they've withdrawn the EBITDA guidance that they had given earlier of 1450 to 1700 crores for FY25. They've taken that back, so that is creating some pressure on the stock. Peak debt is also projected to reach between 35 and 38 billion rupees, and approximately 70 to 80% of their products face competition from Chinese suppliers as well. So you have B&K Securities, they've downgraded the stock and revised the target to 513 from 579. Centrum, however, has cut the rating from an add to a reduce, and the target price of 730 rupees.
All right, then that's about Aarti Industries. But moving on, Osho, let's talk about BSC. Certainly no stopping for this particular stock. Tell us what are the next targets that you are looking out for.
See, overall, BSC was into a very strong consolidation or maybe in minor correction phase in the last 3 months. But in the last 3 weeks, it has been in a higher highs, higher lows kind of a pattern on the technical development. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, there can be a strong and gradual up move in the coming period. Approximately the zone of 2420 and 2500 should be acting as a very strong support for this counter. And on the higher end, immediate target that one can eye for a short-term perspective is 2800 to 2850. And the time it breaches the zone of 2850, we can again see the counter testing the zone of 3200 from medium-term time frame. So from here onwards, the risk reward is very much favorable in this counter, and definitely a buy from short and even for medium-term time frame.
That's about BSC. But moving on, let's shift focus to some of the earnings candidate then, and indeed NMDC is the stock that we wish to talk about. The company did post its earnings where the margin has seen a substantial improvement from 37%. The company did clock in a margin of 43.2%. The profit has also seen a jump of 18.5% on a YY basis. 1963 crores is what the company has reported. Other than that, though, the revenue has been quite flattish, but EBITDA has seen a jump of 17.5%. And despite a decent set of numbers, we can say that while market is falling, NMDC is still trying to find some ground there. But all in all, after the numbers, the stock is down about 1.7% in trade right now.
Okay, keeping an eye out on NMDC. Let's move on to the next stock on technicals, and that is Fortis Healthcare. Osho, last 1 month, actually specifically coming in just in the last couple of weeks, that we've seen a sharper uptick that's come in for Fortis Healthcare. On the charts, is there some indication that this up move is going to be continuing?
See, overall, the overall healthcare space has been gaining strong traction in the recent period. So Fortis has been always in a secular uptrend, and it has been following the cycle of higher highs, higher lows. The recent correction or the recent consolidation from the zone that we have seen around the levels of 520 towards 480 odd levels has seen a very strong traction for the investor. So I'm expecting that this should continue on the higher end, and 580 to 600 is the zone where one should try to book their profit for short-term perspective. Overall, the trend is very positive, and the cycle of higher highs is very much intact on the technical levels, be it on daily or weekly time frame. So overall, technical setup is very positive, and one should definitely try to buy this counter on any dips towards the zone of 500.
Okay, surely keeping an eye out on that. Let's move on to the next stock. We're talking about KPI Green. That's in focus, and why is that so? Now they have launched their QIP, and this is of around 983 crores approximately at an 1,000 crores QIP at a price of 935 rupees per share, around 8.9% stake. This is the indicative price. Now this came in yesterday as an announcement when they said that they officially opened the QIP. They are planning to raise this capital only because of for raising the company's operations as well as growth strategy going forward. And they said that they may offer a discount of around 14% also on yesterday's closing price for the QIP on the shares that will be sold in the QIP today. As of now, the stock is locked in lower circuit because the possibility of the discount price that they may sell the shares or give the shares on QIP at this discounted price. So keeping an eye out on KPI Green as of now, locked in lower circuit. 5% downtick there.
All right, that's about KPI Green, locked in a lower circuit. But Osho Welspun Corporation has been in a continuous uptrend for quite some time now. Tell us how you're spotting this counter on the charts.
See, overall, Welspun Corporation has seen a very strong consolidation breakout, and that too on a weekly time frame. So looking at the overall development of consolidation breakout, the immediate target for this counter comes near the zone of 740. And on the lower end, the support or the neckline of the breakout is somewhere around the zone of 620 odd levels. So any dip coming towards the zone of 620 or 640 odd levels should be auguring very positively for this counter, and one should try to book their profits near about the zone of 740.
Surely keeping an eye out on that. Let's move on and talk about Senco Gold and Snehi. Numbers, how are they looking like? What's the stock doing?
Well, it's a strong quarter one coming in for Senco Gold. Good numbers coming in. Let's take a look at what these numbers look like. And first up, revenue has come in at 1,404 crore rupees versus 1,305, which is an uptick of 7.5% on a year-on-year basis. Net profit has come in at 51 crores versus 28, so up 85.5% year-on-year. EBITDA also has expanded 109 crores compared to 67 crores, so up 61.7%. And EBITDA margins have also expanded at 7.7% versus 5.1%, which is up 260 bips on a year-on-year basis. Now, the retail sales growth on a year-on-year basis was even higher at 9.6%. The SSSG, which is the same store sales growth, was also recorded at 4%. So, well, a good quarter coming in, strong numbers coming in, and net profit has jumped 85.5% year-on-year, and on the back of that, stock doing pretty well, up almost 8.8%.
All right, then keeping with the jewelry counters then, and after Senco Gold, let's talk about Kalyan Jewelers. And Osho, talk to us about how you are looking at the technical pattern and the setup for the stock.
See, overall, all the jewelry-related companies are having a very strong traction and are witnessing some strong movement. Kalyan Jewelers, looking at the technical perspective, have seen a very drastic upsurge towards the zone of 600, 610, from where it has seen some time-wise corrective, where it has entered a time-wise corrective phase. But still now it is having a potential to retest the zone of 600, 620 odd levels. So now I am not very much aggressive on the targets, but definitely the immediate highs of 620 can be again retested in this counter. And looking at the overall sentiment, the base has been formed near the zone of 540. So risk reward is also very much favorable, approximately 25 points of downside, and on the higher end approximately 50 to 60 points of higher end. So one should definitely try to gauge this momentum in the coming period.
All right, that's about Kalyan Jewelers, but let's talk about one of the counters that been recently listed on the stock exchanges. Not much time, and I'm talking about Domes Industries, because after the listing, the stock has already saw a run-up of 75%. But for today, there has been a correction on the back of the earnings, because if we see the earnings this time around, then the company did report a revenue jump of 17.5%, while the net profit has seen a substantial jump of 51, almost 50% on a YOY basis. Though the EBITDA as well as margins has also seen a substantial jump, but because we have seen a phenomenal run up in the stock already, maybe some bit of correction on that particular front, and the stock is down about 6% in trade right now.
Surely keeping an eye out on Domes, but let's just quickly mark the market because yes, Nifty's fallen below the 24,200 level as of now, down 0.6%. That's where the Nifty is trading at. Pull up the mid and small cap as well. I just want to check up on that as well. Have that also seen a sharper fall? Mid cap is down 0.3%, not much of a fall there, while small cap also is down almost 0.5%. But yes, from the day's highest point, we have seen a fall coming in for the mid cap, down 0.8% from the day's highest point. So yes, the Nifty mid and small cap, we're talking about just intraday chart today, that we're seeing a fall. As of now, 24,190 levels is what the Nifty is trading at. So yes, surely keeping an eye out on that one. But let's move on to the next stock that we are highlighting on the technicals for you all, and that is Jyoti Labs Osho. What are the charts indicating for Jyoti Labs?
See, Jyoti Labs have seen a very strong movement in the last 1 to 2 trading weeks from the zone of nearly 500, 510 odd levels, and there has been a continuous upsurge in this counter. So overall, the trend is very much secular, and we can expect that the bullish trend should continue on the higher end. Looking at the weekly time frame, we have seen a strong breakout around the zone of 540. So any sustenance above the zone of 540 should be auguring very well for the counter, and I'm expecting that, looking at the overall trend and traction in this counter, next immediate target that one can eye for is nearly 600, 620 for very short term perspective. Overall, the trend is very positive. Any dip towards the zone of 520 should be auguring well, and accordingly we will be shifting the targets on the higher end.
Okay, keep an eye out on those levels over there for Jyoti Labs. Let's move on and talk about Saregama. That's the one we are keeping an eye out on, as Amansa Holdings has checked into Saregama. They've acquired 15 lakh shares in yesterday's bulk deal at that's around 0.8% stake is what we could say in Saregama India at a price of 480 rupees per share. Other than that, Hill Fort India Fund LP has sold 20 lakh shares. That's around 1% stake in the company. So yes, keeping an eye out on that one. As of June 30th, what we saw is that 1.27% stake is what Hill Fort India held. But yes, Amansa Holdings checking into the stock today, trading with gains of almost 2.2% in trade.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.